Just the same way that you would never catch us policing other people's bodies, you will never catch us policing other people's yoga practice. And let's talk about why. So, while we all love a healthy debate, there's always discussions in the yoga community going on around everything from like mirrors to no mirrors, weights to no weights, Sanskrit or no Sanskrit, chanting, no chanting, namaste, no namaste, vegan or meat eater, sober is the way, or substances or plant medicine is the way. And the list can go on, and we can go back and forth until our mouths fall out of our faces about the right way to do yoga. And I too know what it feels like to like just have completed my first yoga teacher training and be the one who knows what real yoga is. So I'm not even talking about this from a place of like being above or better than or knowing better than anyone. So I am someone who has practiced yoga since 2011 is when I first found it. I did my first trauma-informed YTT in 2013. And when I found yoga in 2011, I was in like a really intense, shitty place in my life. I was in really toxic relationships. I was overworked. I was just like a hot mess. The story doesn't really, or like you can fill in the blanks there. And I had found yoga, and I could manage to go to a regular yoga class on my own. But for slower restorative or yin style yoga classes, I literally could not go to a yin class without having a drink first. And looking at it back at it now, I can see that it was so hard and so uncomfortable for me to be able to sit with myself that I needed something that would let me do that. And it would be so easy to judge that version of me. And there's definitely times in my life where I have judged that version of myself. But the fact of the matter is, I don't need that anymore. Now, like, what sounds really fun to me on a Friday night is doing a bunch of breath work and sitting with my feelings. But the thing that got me across the threshold or through the gateway was that that's what I needed in order to access getting into that space. And so you can sit here and say, you know, that's not real yoga, or that's not the place you're supposed to be coming from yoga, or in order to practice yoga in the right way. But it got me to where I needed to go. And I've been through so many different stages of evolution, you know, when it's like you just graduate from YTT and you know what real yoga is, and there has to be Sanskrit and there has to be chanting and da-da-da-da and the sequencing and, you know, the way, no mirrors, you know, mirrors aren't holy. That's like fucking focusing too much on what you look like. And then there's a part in my journey where it's like I couldn't look at myself. And I used going to classes with mirrors as a way to like be with myself and learn how to look at myself and really see myself. And there's been times in my journey when being completely sober has been a part of my spirituality and connection to myself and my yoga. And then there's times where I get so freaking rigid and disciplined, there's no yoga in it at all, and the most like spiritual thing I can do is like take a shot of tequila and dance on a table. So and same with, you know, there's been stages where being vegan was really right for me, and then other times where my body's like, I need meat. And so for anyone to ever look at someone else's practice, look at where someone else is in their journey, and think that they know better than what that person needs for themselves, I find offensive. And who's to say you're not ever supposed to be offended? But my point is, even if I agree with you, even if I agree with like what you're saying about how yoga should be done, I would never say that. I don't say should. But like, even if we agree with what you're saying, it's never our job to go on someone else's mat and to micromanage their body or to think that we know better than them and where they're at in their practice. And I personally trust where you're at in your journey. And I think that your expression of yoga is exactly right. And the more permission that we can give each other and ourselves to just drop into trying on what's really right for us in that moment, the more trust we can build with ourselves, the more confidence we can build in ourselves. And also like, we're allowed to be different. It's not necessarily like what you're choosing, but it's the place you're operating from and your intention when you're choosing to do something. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Namaste as fuck.